Welcome to the Business English Podcast. Let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever felt nervous when trying to speak English at work? Like, maybe you fear making mistakes or stumbling in front of others? Actually, it's a common concern for many learners.
Exactly. The topic of how to speak English fluently and confidently is so important for building better relationships with international colleagues. You see, once you feel at ease, you can share ideas smoothly and participate in global meetings more effectively.
Couldn't agree more. So today, we're talking about how to speak English fluently and confidently, and we'll cover useful tips, best practices, and real success stories. Basically, this podcast will boost your communication skills and help you sound more professional.
Absolutely. We'll guide you through each section, from an overview of the topic to practical English lessons. By the way, we encourage you to comment with your thoughts, because your output matters. The more you share, the more confident you become.
Totally. Let me see. We'll first explore why this topic is essential. Then we'll jump into some specific strategies, followed by English lessons and practical tips. Finally, we'll close with a summary to keep everything clear in your mind.
Indeed. And remember, we're in this together, so please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let's keep learning as a community, and we look forward to reading your ideas below. Now let's dive into the main discussion.
Alright, let's begin by outlining what we'll cover in this part. Like we said, we're focusing on how to speak English fluently and confidently. We plan to discuss common obstacles, practical solutions, and actual case studies that show how people improved their speaking skills.
Exactly. In recent years, more companies have introduced English as their official language. You see, big names like Rakuten in Japan made bold moves, and that forced employees to communicate in English daily. It shows how crucial English fluency can be.
Couldn't agree more. By the way, there's another way to look at it. It's not just about official company policy. It's also about building confidence in global networking, where casual chats can lead to valuable partnerships or fresh ideas.
No doubt about it. So let's break it down into key challenges. First, many learners feel intimidated by grammar rules. Then, there's the fear of public speaking in English. And finally, there's anxiety about using idioms or casual expressions incorrectly.
That's exactly how I see it. Actually, it's normal to feel tense when you're unsure of the right phrase or tone. But the good news is, with consistent practice and real conversation, you can overcome those fears and speak more naturally.
Absolutely. We also have to mention technology trends. Video conferencing has become the norm, so fluent English skills help you handle remote meetings smoothly. You nailed it if you can explain complex points clearly without stumbling or relying on others for translations.
Precisely. Let me see. There's also a growing demand for clear communication across email and chat platforms. If you can write concise, polite, and grammatically correct messages, you earn more respect. That leads to better rapport with teammates and clients.
Indeed, there's another perspective too. Social media. People use LinkedIn or Twitter to build professional connections. If you post updates or comment in English, you expand your network globally. That skill can open doors to new roles or collaborations you never imagined.
You're spot on, actually. Let's highlight a real success story. There's a mid-sized tech firm we know where the HR manager encouraged daily 5-minute English stand-ups. Over time, employees got used to speaking up, which boosted confidence and improved morale.
Exactly. Another example is a sales team in Germany that decided to pitch in English once a week, just as practice. They saw how it helped them close deals with international clients. Totally. That kind of routine builds both fluency and trust.
Couldn't agree more. Practice in safe spaces helps reduce the fear factor. And it's not only about formal meetings. Often, casual chats in the office lounge or group lunches provide a low-stakes chance to try new phrases or expressions.
Absolutely. And let me see, we should also emphasize listening. Listening to podcasts or watching videos in English helps you get used to natural pace and accents. That input makes your output more authentic, so you sound more confident.
That's right. There's also the cultural aspect, right? Sometimes direct translations don't work well. In business settings, politeness and clarity matter. So learning the context behind certain phrases can prevent misunderstandings and help you adapt to different communication styles.
Precisely. In fact, a quick example is how Americans might say, "Let's circle back on that," which basically means they want to revisit the topic later. If you're not familiar with such expressions, you might miss opportunities or seem out of sync.
Totally. Another angle is building your personal brand. If you can handle English conversations confidently, you stand out in job interviews, conferences, and networking events. That can lead to promotions or invitations to speak at seminars. It's a real career booster.
Indeed. So we've covered trends, challenges, and best practices, plus some success stories. Like we promised, this part focused on how to speak English fluently and confidently in different scenarios. Next, we'll move on to a more detailed English lesson, so stay tuned.
All right, let's dive into our first English lesson. Based on what we discussed earlier, we noticed certain words and idioms that might seem tricky. So let's break down 5 of them and show you how to use each one effectively.
Exactly. The first one is circle back. Basically, this is a phrase people use in business to mean return to a topic later. For instance, let's circle back on the budget issue tomorrow. It's common in emails and meetings.
Totally. Next, we have pitch. It can mean a presentation or proposal, like, I need to pitch my new idea to the boss. It's often used in sales or when introducing fresh plans to potential investors.
Couldn't agree more. Another term is low stakes. It refers to something that doesn't carry huge risks or consequences. For example, practicing your English in a casual group is a low-stakes way to build confidence and try new vocabulary without fear.
You're spot on. Now let's talk about rapport. This word means a good relationship or mutual understanding, especially in a professional context. Building rapport with clients can boost trust and lead to long-term partnerships is one way to use it.
Exactly. And the last one is out of sync. Actually, it means not aligned or in harmony, such as when people have different schedules or ideas. Like, our project team was out of sync until we clarified our goals and tasks.
Indeed. These expressions popped up in our previous chat. By the way, using them correctly can really elevate your business English. So try to practice them in everyday situations. It helps you communicate more clearly and sound more natural.
Absolutely. Let me see. An effective way to practice is to write short emails or messages using these terms. You could say, let's circle back on that pitch. Or, our conversation yesterday was low stakes, but it helped build rapport.
No doubt about it. If you do that regularly, you'll feel more confident inserting these expressions into real meetings or presentations. Repetition is key, and each time you use a new phrase, it becomes more familiar.
Precisely. And remember, language is about consistency and output. So give these terms a try and share any questions or examples in the comments. The more you practice, the faster you'll master these phrases and speak English with greater ease.
All right, let's move into some practical tips for speaking English fluently and confidently. We want to share everyday actions you can take. From short listening exercises to creative writing tasks, these steps can help you keep improving, even with a busy schedule.
Exactly. One trend we've seen is using language exchange apps. You see, connecting with a native speaker just a few minutes a day helps you practice real conversation. That way you can ask questions, get feedback, and gradually reduce those anxious moments.
Absolutely. Another approach is keeping a short daily journal in English. Writing about your day or summarizing a meeting helps you focus on vocabulary and sentence structure. Over time, you'll spot your progress and discover gaps you need to fill.
Couldn't agree more. Let me see. There's also the habit of reading news in English. You nailed it if you pick topics you genuinely like, because that keeps you motivated. Plus, you learn current phrases or industry-specific terms that reflect today's market.
No doubt about it. One more idea is shadowing, where you listen to a native speaker, then repeat aloud with the same intonation. It's common in language schools because it trains your mouth and ears to sync with natural pronunciation, building confidence.
That's right. And let's not forget about setting specific goals. Maybe you promise yourself to speak up in at least one meeting each week, or you plan to present a small project in English next month. That sense of purpose drives progress.
Indeed. Also, try to immerse yourself in English whenever possible. Watch business talks, listen to podcasts, and read professional blogs. The more you surround yourself with the language, the quicker your brain adapts, and the more fluent you become.
Totally. Another perspective is joining online communities or forums where English is the main language. By participating in discussions, you practice writing politely and articulating your thoughts. It's a great way to build connections while improving your skills.
Precisely. And we can't forget about feedback. If you have a mentor or a supportive colleague, ask them to correct your mistakes. Knowing where you slip up is critical to adjusting your approach. Constructive feedback keeps you on the right path.
You're spot on. Also, be mindful of your mindset. Sometimes people freeze because they're too scared of making errors. Actually, mistakes are part of the journey. So celebrate small wins, like completing a successful introduction or writing an email without major errors.
That's exactly how I see it. Another practical tip is to incorporate idioms or phrases gradually. Start with a few expressions, then build from there. You see, forcing too many complex phrases at once can sound unnatural and overwhelm your listener.
Absolutely. Let me see, microlearning is also powerful. Spending 5 minutes each morning reviewing vocabulary or practicing a short dialogue can accumulate great results over time. It's better than cramming for hours, which often leads to quick burnout.
Couldn't agree more. And for those aiming to sound more professional, consider learning standard phone greetings or polite email closings. In many global companies, these small details matter a lot. They show respect and help maintain a positive image.
Indeed. Speaking of image, body language complements your words. Maintain eye contact, smile naturally, and speak at a calm pace. By the way, these gestures reflect confidence, and they reassure people that you're comfortable in the conversation.
You nailed it. Also, track your progress, keep note of phrases you've mastered, or record yourself speaking once a week. Reviewing these recordings helps you see improvements and pinpoint areas that still need work. No doubt about it, it's super motivating.
Precisely. So these tips should give you a solid foundation for daily practice. From language exchanges to mindful goal setting, there's something for everyone. Just remember to keep experimenting and share your experiences in the comments. We'd love to know what works for you.
All right, let's follow up with another English lesson. Based on our practical tips discussion, we used several terms that might be new, so we want to clarify their meanings and show you how to use them effectively.
Exactly. The first term is shadowing. This technique involves repeating what you hear right after the speaker. For example, I like to shadow business podcasts to improve my pronunciation and rhythm. It's a quick way to build natural-sounding speech.
Absolutely. Next is microlearning. That means breaking down study time into small, focused chunks. For instance, I do micro-learning sessions in the morning, reviewing 5 new words before breakfast. It fits perfectly into busy schedules.
Couldn't agree more. Another phrase is immersion. It refers to surrounding yourself with English in everyday life, like watching movies, reading articles, or chatting online in English. Full immersion helps your brain get used to thinking in another language.
Exactly. The fourth is constructive feedback. That means feedback given in a helpful way, so you know what to improve without feeling discouraged. For instance, my coworker offered constructive feedback on my presentation, which helped me refine my slides.
Totally. The last one is body language. Basically, it covers gestures, posture, and facial expressions that communicate without words. Good body language shows confidence during meetings and makes a strong impression on clients, is a simple example.
That's right. By using these 5 terms, you'll have more precision when discussing learning strategies or professional behaviors. So, try practicing them in your next conversation or writing assignment.
Indeed. Let me see. It's also smart to mix these words into your daily routines. You could say, I'm doing micro-learning for vocabulary. Or, I want more immersion by listening to an English news podcast each morning.
Precisely. And remember, each term can spark deeper discussion. For example, if you mention constructive feedback, you can talk about how to give or receive it politely in a business setting, which is a crucial soft skill.
No doubt about it, the more you use these expressions, the more natural they'll feel. So keep exploring and post any questions or examples in the comments. Let's keep building our vocabulary together and grow in confidence step by step.
Absolutely. Remember, language learning is a marathon, not a sprint, so keep at it every day. Slowly but surely, these words and techniques will become second nature, boosting your overall English fluency in the long run. All right, we've explored so much today about how to speak English fluently and confidently. We hope you've gained fresh insights from the practical tips and success stories we've shared, plus the useful vocabulary we've introduced in our English lessons.
Exactly. We covered ways to practice regularly, like shadowing, micro-learning, and immersion. We also discussed building rapport, staying motivated, and tackling challenges one step at a time. These methods can truly accelerate your growth and help you shine in business settings.
Couldn't agree more. Remember that progress often comes from consistent output. Every conversation, email, or comment you write is a chance to improve. And when you look back, you'll see how far you've come in building confidence.
Absolutely. By applying these techniques, you'll be able to handle meetings, presentations, and everyday conversations more smoothly. Plus, the English lessons on key terms and idioms should help you sound more natural and professional.
Totally. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope this podcast helps you reach your communication goals, keep practicing, and stay eager to learn. This has been the Business English Podcast, signing off, and we look forward to having you with us again soon.